And with the monsoon here, do you need to change your watering schedule? Our 5-Minute Gardener has some advice.
Live with balanced news you can count on. This is News 4 at 4.
A lot of people think that once the monsoon really kicks in, they don't have to water their plants. Is that true? Our 5-Minute Gardener, Debbie Mounts from Harlow Gardens, tells us.
Okay, we're coming up on the 4th of July, and it is that time of the year that we Tucsonans love. It is monsoon time. In your garden, the questions start to arise about, okay, it's raining, but how much do I still have to water my plants? Now, one of the things I want to talk about today is you've got to be a little careful with the monsoon rains, because even though we're getting a lot of water, the water, especially with our soils get really hard packed, and the water hits the soil, it comes down really hard and then runs off. It's kind of like this watering can. If I hold this watering can up and I pour a bunch of water, the water just runs right away from the surface of the soil. That's the same thing that's going to happen in your gardens with a good hard monsoon rain. So sometimes you will notice that if you take a little stick after a monsoon rain and dig in the soil, you will notice that that heavy rain may have only gotten down this much, maybe 4 or 5 inches in your soil. You need a rain for our plants for their health and well-being. You need water that gets down deeper than that generally. So you can't entirely count on monsoon rains to water your plants, except for maybe your cacti and things. So what I'm talking about today is making sure that, yes, you can use some of the monsoon water as some of your watering, but make sure that the things that need that deeper watering get that water. So you can augment that monsoon with just a little bit more water for those things that need to be down at least 2 feet, like your shrubs and your trees and things. Now, the kind of rain and the kind of watering that you really want for all of your plants is something like this watering can, where the water comes out really slowly and gently, and then it has a chance to seep into the soil, not like this hard monsoon rain. So what I was talking about is checking your soil when you're done after a monsoon rain. You can take and you can dig in the soil and check. Go out to the edge of where it's wet, the edge of the root system of your tree or your bush or whatever it is, and dig in and check for yourself and see how deeply that water actually got. And then you're going to know how much you need to augment that watering. Thanks again.
Thank you, Debbie, and she joins us now. And I think that there's probably some little handy-dandy tools that you can buy, little stick things that go in and tell you, right?
Well, one of the handy-dandiest of them all is really a piece of rebar. What we tell folks at the nursery is if you just get a piece of rebar, like on your established trees, you want the water to go down at least 2 feet. So after you have a rain or a watering or whatever you're doing with your watering, whether it's monsoon or hand watering, go out to the edge of the canopy of the tree. Here's the canopy of the tree, here's the stem. Go out to the edge of the canopy, which is where those little feeder roots are, where you want the water to be. Pound the rebar into the ground where it's still wet. Same with the monsoon watering. It will stop when it hits dry soil. It gets harder to pound. So then you pull it out and you say, okay, it went in, 18 inches or 12 inches or however much it is. And for established trees, you want water to be at least 2 feet in the ground, at least.
How often? Once a week?
Well, it depends upon, it really is dependent upon the type of tree that it is. But established trees, I say trees that have been in the ground at least 3 years, you want the water to go down at least 2 feet. Now, trees that are bigger than that, some of the really big trees, you don't need to water like once a week or anything. But when you do water them, you may need to water them for hours. And you can use some of that monsoon water to help kind of get the process started. It's like it kind of preps the soil for that water to move down deeper.
And what about all the potted plants that are on drip? Maybe that could be turned off during, because especially if they're not in a covered area, if they're out in the open.
Right. Yeah, and often you can with potted plants. So what I would suggest is when the rain stops, again, go into your plant and be a little bit of a scientist or a little digger and dig along the edge of the soil. Be careful with the roots, and you'll see how far the rain went down. And it needs to go down deeply enough to wet all the roots in that pot. A couple years ago when I was planting in my yard, we had a huge rain and I was still doing some planting, and I dug in the ground and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be really wet. I was very stunned to see that it was only wet down this far. So that was a really good lesson for me. And I've done that sometimes with pots at the nursery too.
You know, and the beauty of the monsoon rain is we can water our plants with the hose all the month of June until the monsoon starts, but the minute the rain starts, everything gets so beautiful. Why is that? That rainwater must have something really special.
You know, I'm not real clear about exactly what it has, but it makes a huge difference. Even at the nursery, even the plants, things that aren't grass, suddenly they start to green up. It's that humidity and that available moisture part of it.
Yeah.
It's just fabulous.
It's gorgeous, and everything looks so beautiful. Cactus, everything
yeah,
looks plump.
yeah, they're
and-
all plump and fat and sassy.
Thank you so much. All right.